So this meeting is called to order. Roll call,
This
please.
conference will now be recorded.
Roll call, McGilvray,
Here.
Kokendorfer,
Here.
Loops,
Here.
you have a quorum.
Thank you. All right, I need approval for the previous minutes from May 23rd, 2019. Approved by Commissioner McGilvray, support by Commissioner Kokendorfer. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It is carried. The minutes are approved. Next, oh, something just popped up. Okay. Next item is approval of the agenda.
I'll move it.
All right, support, moved by Commissioner McGilvray, support by Commissioner Kokendorfer. All in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? All right, the agenda is approved. So we come to public comment now. Is there anyone for public comment?
Currently, there's no callers on the line and there's no email submissions.
All right, thank you. The public comment is closed. The first item on the agenda is approval of the application form and correspondence letter to communities.
I'll move it.
Motion by Commissioner Kokendorfer, seconded by Commissioner McGilvray. Are there any comments on the application process? We have Amy.
Okay, so I want to walk you guys through some of the changes and recommendations.
Okay.
Last year, we sent this letter out with the application. It was signed by each individual commissioner representing that particular city or village. This year, I'm recommending we send out a generic letter via email only, signed by the committee members, which you'll see in your packet. By doing strictly email communication this time, it will keep staff from having to go into the office, individually print all of these letters, stuff all of the packets, handle all of the mailing. We get a pretty good response through email, especially lately. So I'm just recommending that we make this process email only, which requires a generic letter, so I don't have to send 60 emails.
And
I
then
like-
is it, Amy, will it say this, it can only be emailed only, right on there?
No, because at a certain point we have to switch to a mail process because we require original signatures. Most of them tend to email them to us or mail. Some of the communities just do not have the technology to send us an electronic application. They tend to fill them out by hand, or they don't have scanners. They tend to sometimes have technology problems, or they're not in the office as well. So we will allow them to mail. I am going to encourage them to email them as they have in the past. I'm not sure if I can require it to only be electronic, but I can check and change that if you guys would prefer.
No, that's fine. I want to make sure that if somebody applies by mail, that we're still going to accept that.
Yes. What'll happen is, because Megan is in the office occasionally, as well as Joanne and a few other staff, they can just notify me and we can collect them up for a week or two. And then I'll just drive up there one day and I can collect everything at once. Whereas before I would do everything kind of on a, I could just piecemeal and, add them into everything every day. I'll just go up one day, collect a big pile of them, go to my office, scan everything in for myself. So we've got a structure that we can do on our end. I'm just trying to minimize the number of times that we need to go in to the office to do this.
Okay.
Commissioner Kokendorfer?
Great, thank you. Thanks a ton for this, Amy. Normally, in normal times, I'd want the name of each commissioner with respect to the district that we're sending it to, but these are not normal times. So I know staff has a lot going on, so I'm fine with this approach, just because things are so crazy and I want to kind of ease things on you guys the best we can. I do think, though, that we should tell the other commissioners that they should reach out to their individual municipalities and remind them of this, And maybe we should send an email, Amy, you or somebody else, to each commissioner, just informing them of this. And they may want to just forward that themselves. Now, obviously, you'll send that email to the municipalities, but I just think each commissioner may want to also kind of put their own touch on this.
Yep, we tend to send a memo out or something updating when we do these programs to say, this program has now started. Your community should have received this information. Here's a copy of the packet for yourself if they reach out to you. Otherwise, have them reach out to me. So I definitely am going to do that.
That's great.
And
Thank you.
as we get further in the packet, there will be a point when there will be individual commissioner signatures as well.
Great.
So, in addition to the application letter, we have the application form. The only changes I made to that form this year is removing the word pilot because we've passed the pilot period of this program. Attachment A, which is the amended, I've amended the program policy this year. The primary change is to, again, remove the word pilot because this is now past that 4-year period. So I updated that information to reflect that. And then previously we were getting our information from the Road Commission through the Traffic Improvement Association. However, we've had difficulty getting data from them, but I have been able to work with SEMCOG the last 2 years and they send me the spreadsheet with all the information in the format we need. So I've replaced the Road Commission with SEMCOG, Southeast Michigan Council of Governments. So I've updated that in the program policy as well. The second attachment to the application form is the distribution formula. So that's probably one of the most important pieces of this. That will show you the allocation to each of the communities. I did streamline this spreadsheet a little bit compared to last year. I took the $2 million fiscal year 20 allocation and I combined it with the $27,439 that was left over from fiscal year 19 that you guys rolled over in December. And I just put it all in one column and added it all together instead of having a couple different columns because it was a little confusing for some of the communities last year. They were looking at the wrong column to figure out what their program costs should be and what their reimbursement would be. So that's all rolled in together. I did have a question for you. We currently have in the program and in everything that we are funding annually. Previously, we would allow communities to roll over this year's allocation and combine it with a subsequent year. That was typically during the pilot program, we would get multiple years of funding. Because we haven't funded beyond this fiscal year, I just want to confirm I can remove that language and simply make this an annual funding for this year. So if anybody says, can I roll it over? The answer is going to be no, because funding is not guaranteed. So
Some cities and townships and villages receive such a small amount that it's more effective for them to roll over and actually be able to do something with a couple of years worth of money.
I mean, I can talk to Chris to confirm how that would work. We did not allow it last year because funding was only approved for 1 year. So if they roll over, there's no guarantee. One of the problems we're currently looking at is our funding is from a limited source. We use state revenue sharing. With COVID-19 and a lot of changes right now and the outlook on the budget, we may not be able to guarantee moving forward if the state does not provide revenue sharing at an adequate amount. This program has to cease because we don't have an alternate source based on the restrictions of the program. So that was just one of my concerns. I'm hoping that does not happen. We're all hoping that does not happen. So I just want to kind of give you guys the information and you can make that I mean, let me know if you want me to make that an option to roll over. It's just won't be guaranteed what the amount's going to be moving forward.
Yes, Commissioner Kokendorfer?
Yeah, I mean, Commissioner Lubis makes a great point. I mean, in a perfect world, you'd give them that option. I totally agree with her. I mean, the problem is that we have no idea what next year is going to look like, and I wouldn't want to make a promise that we couldn't keep. Unfortunately, I don't like it, but probably the reality.
I would have to agree with you. That's the reality. I don't, I think there might be one or two small cities or townships that might not utilize it then.
A lot of the community, sorry, if I may, some of the communities like Lake Angeles, their contribution is less than $500. They tend to just opt out of the program every year.
Mhm.
So if we have a special request, that's something this committee can always consider when we receive the applications. So I just wanted to kind of make you aware of some of the unique circumstances with our funding source for this program.
All right, thank you. I like that piece of it. Mhm.
And the last item for number 1 is the schedule. This is the schedule overview for the cities. Further in the agenda, we'll get into your committee schedule for this program. We are on a little bit of a tighter deadline because I think we're about 2 months behind in the program because of COVID-19. While everybody kind of transitioned to the new meeting schedule and we put some funding sources on hold temporarily. But that's the general schedule I'm proposing. It is always subject to change. We can change that if we have any trouble getting responses. The deadline is currently set at June 30th. I do know some communities, not all, require city council approval of their grant applications. So we have an unofficial deadline that's in July that we'll be able to, we always have like a second round, possibly even a third round of approvals. So, but I didn't want to publish that second deadline.
Just a question, Amy. It says the deadline is June 30th, though.
Correct?
Yes.
Okay, you said in July. That's why I was trying
That's
to.
the unofficial second deadline. That's the internal, when I don't get everybody to reply by June 30th, I will say, well, you as a body, I'll come back after the first round and I'll ask you to extend it to a date in July.
The secret, unless they're listening to this.
It always happens. They're used to me. I always have second and third deadlines with everything.
Mhm.
They know me by now. I'm nice. I want to make sure everybody gets their funding.
All right,
And,
anything else on the application form or the correspondence? All right, then we need a vote, please.
Okay, so item number 1,
Yes. Mhm.
roll call vote. McGilvray,
Yes.
Durfer,
Yes.
Lubes,
Yes.
motion carries. And did you want to do a motion to receive and file those documents as well?
Do we need to?
Amy, we need to do that to have it on record like we did last year, correct?
Right, yeah.
I'll move it.
Okay,
Motion by Commissioner McGilvery, second by Commissioner Kokendorfer.
thank you.
All in, to receive and file, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that motion is carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. Then we move on to approval of cost participation agreement and correspondence letters to communities. So motion by Commissioner Kokendorfer, seconded by Commissioner McGilvery. Amy, is this you again?
Yes, it is. Okay, so this is the next 4 documents. So we always have an approval letter that goes on top of the cost participation agreement after you guys approve each application. This is where, because I have to customize every agreement and there will be an individual communication with each one, this is where I can switch back to a commissioner specific signature, because I have to individually make all of these documents anyways. I figured, and I've already got the spreadsheet set up to mail merge with every individual one. But I am proposing, even though I have to individually make these, I'm again proposing to limit, instead of mailing them a blank cost participation agreement, I'd like to email them and they can print out 2 copies on their end. And then they would sign the 2 copies, and then we require an original signature. So at that point, they would mail them back. It would just cut down again on the staff time in the office, having to go in and individually print everything, stuff all of the envelopes, and go through that process. If you guys are okay with that. So that's the approval letter, the cost participation agreement. I didn't make any changes to that document, other than updating from 2019 to 2020. Attachment C to that agreement, it goes with attachments A, B, and then we'll add in attachment C. There's no changes to that document. And then after we receive back the signed agreements, and they're signed off by the chairman, we send back 1 original copy. So the invoice letter, which should be, I'm not sure what page it is, but there's an invoice letter that we will send back, and there's no updates to that document either. That's all pretty standard language that we have every year. And that's for the approval phase of this program.
All right, any questions? Thank you, Amy. Roll call, please.
Kokendorfer,
Yeah.
McGilvray,
Yes.
Lubes.
Yes. And now I need a motion to receive and file this. Is that correct? All right,
Correct.
moved by Commissioner Kokendorfer, seconded by Commissioner McGilvery. Everyone in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that information is received and filed. Our last item is approval of the 2020 program schedule and deadlines. Yes, Amy.
Okay.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry.
We need
I
a motion.
Oh,
Moved by Commissioner McGilvery, seconded by Commissioner Kokendorfer. Thank you.
Thank you.
okay. So this is a more specific breakdown of the schedule for you guys. This is where I inserted some dates and deadlines for everything. So let me grab my calendar. All right, so today's the 21st. So today we're approving all of the documents. My goal is actually by the end of today to email all the applications out. Being able to use that generic letter, I can send stuff out so much faster than, especially because my printer is out of ink. So I can't print. So I can get everything sent out the 26th at the latest. Get all the applications sent out to everyone. I'll have regular follow-up reminders with everybody probably once a week before the deadline. So we set the deadline for June 30th. And then for that round of applications, I'm looking at July. So we've got so the order that these go in is you get them, and then after you approve them, they get introduced by the commissioners at full board. They're then referred to EGGI, or at this point, if we're still continuing with the special committee structure, it would be to that appropriate committee. And then they're sent back to full board for approval. So in order to do introduction, I'm looking at the full board meeting of July 8th, which would mean your body would need to meet probably the week of July 6th, so probably the 6th or 7th. If we are able to put the information together sooner, we could do July 1st or 2nd. I know there's a holiday So depending on people's schedules, so we would do something around there to meet before the 8th. You can approve all of the applications. They'd get referred, they'd go through the committee process, and hopefully bring us back. Committee would meet around July 14th and bring us back to full board July 23rd. Once we get through that process, then we can start, this communities will be able to start invoicing us for payment. If there is a second round for applications, then we would develop a similar schedule for that. We would set up what we want our second deadline to be, and then I would present you the schedule following that. I do know a lot of the communities have been reaching out. They've already developed their programs. I've told them funding has been allocated. There were just delays in the process. So I'm hoping a lot of these communities are ready to go. And we should get things back hopefully pretty quickly.
What positions in the city do you email to?
So by default, I send them to all of the city and village administrators. And then we've accumulated a list based on past applications of the individuals direct in departments, usually the engineers or planners that are handling these grants. And we send it to those individuals direct as well. So some communities get hit, probably 2 to 3 people will receive this application to make sure it gets processed.
I know in Clausen, there've been numerous staff changes.
My
Yeah.
hometown, I'm aware.
Oh, all right, thank you. So we have an interim city clerk, the engineer Harry's on furlough.
Oh, I didn't know Harry was on furlough. I do, I've been updating the contact list because of everything. I'm aware with the furloughs and everything. And that's why if I get a response that the June 30th doesn't work, I'll come back to you guys. I know it's ambitious, but they'll also be receiving them a lot faster via email than through the mail. The application's pretty simple. They usually have the program set up. They're usually in their budget. We're all doing our city budgets right now. So, but I call. I do follow-up phone calls as well. So I've got a very extensive spreadsheet. I'm going to make sure I get in touch with everybody in every city and every village to make sure we get them their funding for the road projects.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions?
Nope.
Roll call, please.
On item number 3, McGilvray,
Yes.
Kokendorfer,
Yes.
Lubes,
Yes,
motion carries.
thank you. Now, do we need a roll call, a voice vote to receive and file that?
Yes.
All
We
right,
could have did it all in one. Sorry, I'm putting more work on you, but we'll just do each individual one.
motion by Commissioner McGilvery, seconded by Commissioner Kokendorfer. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right. Number 3 is received and filed. Is there any other business that comes before this committee? All right, then, do we need a motion to adjourn?
Nope,
Okay.
you can just call it end.
All right, so at 3:23, we are adjourned.